Good evening, this is BelGeode, and we are back with some more Microsoft Flight Simulator, and tonight I've got another preview for you, and this one is really extra special in my opinion, because if you are not already aware, currently Microsoft Flight Simulator does not support native helicopter physics. Yes, I know it's a bit of a disappointment for those of us who actually enjoy our rotary-winged friends. And when we spoke to Microsoft and Asobo initially, way back before the beta started and the alpha started, they mentioned that the main reason why they didn't want to add helicopters just yet is because they really didn't like the FSX flight model for helicopters. They felt that it could be improved upon. But they really needed to go back to the drawing board and get it done. So the last that we've heard, we're not technically going to have helicopters, at least from Asobo, until 2022. Well, the community is like, nah, ain't nobody got time for that. And the community has actually been active. No doubt you probably have already seen the freeware helicopter that has come out, the EC-135, which is constantly being iterated. Now, I have not shown that one on this channel because honestly, it's not the kind of helicopter that I enjoy flying per se, so I really haven't had a chance to look at it. I may at some point in time, but not today. The helicopter that I want to show you, however, is going to be coming really soon. As a matter of fact, by the time this video is up, it should be launching roughly around the same time. This helicopter is from FlyInside, and this is a payware. The helicopter that I'll be showing you is the Bell 47G. Now, for those of you who are older in the audience, that may sound familiar to you. Yes, this is the exact same helicopter that was used in the TV show M.A.S.H, which of course was a depiction of times during the Korean War. That's where this helicopter got its claim to fame. So FlyInside has actually chosen to replicate this one because, let's face it, it's a relatively easy bird. It is a piston helicopter, it's not a turbine. So there are some things that you do need to pay attention to when it comes to flying this thing. But more importantly, because it's so iconic, because the visibility is great in VR, they were able to put everything together with a high degree of fidelity and actually test out the system. Now I'm going to back up a little bit and explain to you a little bit about FlyInside. If the name sounds vaguely familiar to you, FlyInside were actually the first to bring VR, that is virtual reality, to the flight sims. Way back in 2016, I believe it was, when I first met Dan and company from FlyInside at the Flight SimCon convention in Connecticut, they blew my mind. They showed me that it was possible to use FSX and P3D in VR using the program that they created, appropriately named FlyInside. So from that point in time, I decided to go out and purchase a VR headset. So the reason why all of these videos that you're seeing are recorded in VR, yeah, you can blame FlyInside for that one. They were the ones that influenced me greatly when it came to that. And I've been hooked on VR ever since, so I owe them a huge debt of gratitude. They did, by the way, provide me with the preview version of this helicopter, so thank you. So, fast forward a little bit, of course they did FlyInside versions for FSX, P3D, and X-Plane. The latter two, P3D and X-Plane, now have native VR capabilities, so naturally, we no longer needed FlyInside. In the meantime, FlyInside decided to create their own flight sim, which honestly did not gain as much traction as I kind of hoped that it would when they first announced it. And even I have kind of, slept on it. I haven't really shown it off on this channel because, let's face it, I don't even have the time to show you all the things that I want to show you. That's one of the things that unfortunately slipped by the wayside. But it is important to mention now because the coding and the things that they learned when it comes to creating helicopter flight physics all play a part into how this helicopter integrates seamlessly with Microsoft Flight Simulator. And that is a key word there, seamlessly. So, how they were able to pull it off. This is a completely different code. This is something that they wrote, and it is integrated into the program through this little thing that I'm showing you on the screen right now. This is called the Heli Manager. It is a very small program that you do need to have running while you're flying this helicopter in Microsoft Flight Simulator. It does not use a lot of resources on your PC, and even though for the first time you're actually going to open it up and adjust things in the interface to your liking, after you do that, you can literally close it out. It'll go to your system tray. You never have to see it again, but it'll do what it needs to do in the sim. So what we're looking at on this interface there, pretty straightforward stuff. You can set the flight model to easy, medium, realistic, or you can set custom flight models. Those are going to be the sliders that you will see at the very bottom, which we'll get to in a second. You can enable the engine governor, or you can disable it. If you disable it, you better have helicopter physical controls, because you will need to do a lot of turning of the twist grip to keep the governor at the proper RPM so you can fly this thing. Personally, I don't have time for that, so I just keep it enabled. I'm sure my learned compatriot Mr. Sergio from helisimmer.com would probably tell you otherwise. Trust me on this one. Keep the governor enabled. Save yourself the headache. However, one thing you will want to keep enabled too, enable engine failures. That is a really good indicator as to how well you're doing or how well you're not doing. I like to have the engine failures on because even though it is possible to break this helicopter, you really have to work at it to break it. So at least it'll give you some feedback as to how good you're doing. Keep it on. And then the last three things, the sliders, all have to do with the stability of the bird and how it relates to the controls that you use. Now you're seeing my settings on a screen right now. And the reason why I have everything set the way you're seeing is because of the fact that I'm using the Virpil HOTAS. And the Virpil HOTAS tends to be a little bit sensitive. So I've kind of dialed it down a little bit so that it is a little bit easier for me to handle, but will still give me enough of a challenge. By the same token, it's not going to put me in a situation where I simply raise a collective and automatically flip over on the deck. That's what I want to avoid. I want it to be fun. I want it to be challenging. I don't want it to be a nightmare. So that's why I have it set up the way I did. And I'm pretty sure you will have to set it up the way you like as well. And then, like I said, once you're done with that, close this thing out. It'll go to system tray. You don't have to worry about it again. Set it and forget it. So let's go back into the sim. So this version that I'm going to be showing you tonight is actually a beta version, but I can't imagine it will change too much between this version and what you will end up purchasing if you should so decide. So to start with, you get 7 liveries, and you can see all 7 here. There's no purple livery, but I have been told that I can get a purple livery made for me. I told them it's not 100% necessary, but for tonight we're going to fly the orange one. And as far as weight and balance goes, you can pretty much put however much gas you want in this thing. However, I will say this, do not overload it. This helicopter does not like being weighted down. In real life, this thing was underpowered. In the sim, it's the same way. She will complain if you weight her down, and she also doesn't like high altitude work. So keep that in mind. Other than that, pretty straightforward stuff. So tonight we are going to be going to SimWorks Studios' new scenery package called Okavango Delta, which is located in the south central portion of Mama Africa. So let me zoom in and show you the area itself. All of these little icons that you're seeing on the screen, that is all included with this scenery package. So it's a massive area with tons of airports and, more importantly, tons of helipads. A lot of these helipads are elevated, so that's going to be the key thing that we're going to be doing tonight in this little video, is I want to show you how to land on an elevated helipad. So we're going to take off from Chiefs Island Airport, and we're going to fly northwest to Chiefs Camp. We're going to check out the elephants and all the other critters over there, as well as the humans, and we're going to see if we can land on the elevated helipad. Now, one thing I will just mention really quickly, and this is not really a bug per se, but it's just something that I want to throw out there, especially to a Sobo if you're watching. Currently, with this helicopter, the moment you touch down, no matter where it is, that silly flight log that signals the end of the flight pops up on the screen. That's annoying. A Sobo, for the love of everything holy, do something about that. Make it optional. We don't have to see that every single time. I don't care what my hours are. Can I please just disable it? I just want to fly. That's it. I just want to fly. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. All right, so now that we're done with that, and I've talked for well over 10 minutes now, I bet you'd like to see what this helicopter looks like and flies like, huh? All right, without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the brand new FlyInside Bell 47G, and we will see if FlyInside's return to flight simming is worth all the kudos that I think it is. Alright, well, I hope I'm ready for this one. I'm totally not ready for this one. I've only had a couple of days to fly this thing around, so hopefully we'll be able to pull it off. Alright, you know what? Let's check our instruments. First and foremost, let's get our transponder going. We need to have that set to 7,000 since we are in Africa. Let's do that real quick here. And we'll turn it on out. We're actually not going to be using ATC today, so we're not going to worry too much about that. Now let me call your attention to one of the most important gauges we're going to be looking at here. This is the manifold pressure. So you're going to notice on the manifold pressure there's a line, a yellow line between 20 and 25. That's your effective range. You pretty much want to make sure that you keep it there at all times, which is of course easier with the governor on. Alright, let's pop open the door here. And I say that loosely because the door actually doesn't open, it disappears. That's a design choice that the developer made. Also, please note that in this particular beta version, the sound does not get attenuated when you have the doors closed. I'm pretty sure that's going to be available by the time you actually have the release copy of this bird, however, so don't worry too much about that. Alright, so it does look like we've got a pretty beautiful afternoon here in Okavango, so let's do our quick controls test. Pedals good, cyclic good, collective is also good. For this bird, we're going to need a fair amount of left pedal, so as I bring the collective up, I'm going to be giving it more and more left pedal, and we'll see where she goes. Alright, so manifold pressure, we want to keep it around 23, 24-ish. She should start getting light on the skids. This thing does not hover well if it starts moving around. You have a tendency to kind of drop back to earth. However, I do believe that is accurate for the real thing as well. And you can see exactly what I was talking about there. Look at that, we're back on the ground. Alright, let's give it a little bit more manifold pressure. And I probably shouldn't hit that Jeep while I'm at it. Okay, we're 24 right now. We can go a little bit more collective. Give it some left pedal. Alright, I think we got it this time, folks. Okay, and let's get some of that effective translational lift that'll transfer us from hovering to forward flight. And voila, there we go. Now we are airborne, so we just need to center up our pedals a little bit here, so that way we're pointing in the right direction. We'll keep getting that forward airspeed and eventually start bringing her up. So there we go. It is pretty easy to fly as far as helicopters go, but you definitely want to watch that manifold pressure. You do not want it to stay above 25 for too long. Otherwise, it will kill your engine, and all of a sudden you're in an auto rotation. And let me tell you, I have tested auto rotations. They do work, but they are scary as all get out. You do not want to be in an auto rotation in this bird, okay? We'll just leave it at that. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the beautiful scenery outside as we make our way south of the airport and turn around to head north to Chiefs Island. There we go. We'll bring ourselves around the southern end of the airport, and hopefully we'll see quite a few animals around the area. The thing with this scenery is that everything, even though there's some static displays of animals, there's also a lot of dynamically placed ones that are kind of scripted, so you can't tell from one moment to the next exactly what you're going to see. But since we're low enough to the ground, we should definitely get a good view. Aha! There we go. There's some giraffe right there. Oh, do you like them apples? Look at them just kind of chilling there. So yeah, we're probably going to be seeing a lot of that throughout this flight here. Sometimes you'll see the herds just kind of marching through the scenery and so on. In fact, if you're unlucky, they will even cross your runway. So just be careful of that. Alright, let's check on the bird. Everything looks good. Okay, so we got some decent forward speed. Cruise is really slow in this thing, but it's to be expected. It's an early helicopter, so you're lucky if you can pull about 70 or so miles per hour out of this thing for a cruise speed. All the same though, for sightseeing, this thing is pretty much perfect for that. Directly below us right now is Chief's Camp, so this is pretty much our destination. And I don't think you can see the helipad just yet, but it is pretty much directly underneath me. So what we're going to do is we're going to head out to this lake here. We'll turn around, we'll lose a bit of altitude and airspeed, because as you can see, I've lost a lot of airspeed, but I gained a lot of altitude as I was flying over here. We can check out all the various animals. So there's elephants across the lake there. I don't know if you can see them on your screen, but they're kind of to the right. I've heard there's crocodiles in there, but I'll be danged if I can find them. But supposedly they're probably near like the water's edge and so on. I don't see any right now. We're going to keep it that way since I've lived in Florida for many, many years prior to moving to Pennsylvania. Yeah, I'm done with gators and crocodiles. Alright, but there's the herd of elephants there. And as we swing our way around, we're going to see some zebras and so on. And as we get closer to the buildings, of course, we're going to see some humans, the other animals here. We're going to be checking those guys out in a moment. But there we go. Let's go back to the outside view as we work our way back towards Chief's camp. Alright, now comes the fun part. So this is the civilization that we've got here. And just over those coconut palm trees is going to be the landing area. And I think you can already see the elevated helipad directly ahead of us. Now, a couple of things. First and foremost, it takes a little bit of practice to try and land it on the helipad. Second thing, ground effect. Ground effect does work on elevated surfaces, and hopefully that won't be too much of an issue, but just so you're aware, if you're trying to land on an elevated surface and you've got too much collective up, the moment you pass over the edge of that surface that you're trying to land on, your helicopter will start ballooning up. So you got to be kind of quick and deliberate about it. And I'm going to try and see if I can nail it here, so I'm really trying to focus. Another little bug that I'm going to mention is also the fact that the moment we touch down anywhere, the flight ending screen will pop up. And there it is. Asobo, please, can you make that optional? I beg of you. Alright, so now we are outside of the helicopter, and it looks like we did a pretty decent job on the parking there, so you know what, I'm not going to complain too much. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I know this is a flight simulator, but I really kind of want to show you this scenery from the ground level, because I don't think the helicopter itself does it as much justice as if we start, quote-unquote, walking around the scenery, which is what I really want to show you here. So first off, we can see we got a couple of guys and their Jeep over there. I'm not quite sure what they're doing, but we'll check them out on our way back. And I want to say this is the main road that'll take us to Chief's camp, so we'll just follow this here. And if you're wondering how I'm doing this, I'm using the drone camera. I'm basically just moving the drone camera around. There's our helicopter. She should be pretty safe up there. Alright, so let's go check out Chief's camp and see what that's like. Yeah, this is what it's all about. I know they say it's a flight simulator, but let me tell you folks, exploring scenery is really why you want to be flying in a flight simulator anyway. I can understand you want to fly the aircraft and, you know, learn everything by the books or what have you. But you gotta admit, all the energy that's put into scenery packages like this is the kind of stuff that makes it worth it for me. This is the reason why I got flight simulation and VR in particular. Alright, so we're going to go through this door here. And look at that. So, as I see this in VR, and I'm, of course, going to need to set my height here because I feel a little too tall, this stuff looks real. This is so cool. So we're going to wander the halls here. There we go. I think I got my height now. We've got little chairs, and of course, all the lights are throwing off light, which is really cool. Little back porch there. We'll go out there in a second. There is some glitching with the windows, but honestly, I'm not 100% certain that SimWorks Studios expected for us to hop in here and explore it like this. Alright, let's go through this door here. But yeah, look at all the detail that they put into this. This is just too cool. I love this kind of stuff. Let's check out these folks here. Howdy folks, how are you doing? Hope you're both having a great afternoon. Hey, nice hat. I like your hat. Wondering if they're like a couple, or maybe she's like an employee, or he's an employee, or maybe they're both co-workers that took each other on vacation. Hey, it could happen. I know I've done it before. We won't discuss that. Let's head over this way, shall we? But yeah, you can really see that SimWorks Studios put a lot into this. The wood looks like wood. The cloth looks like cloth. The lights, the lanterns, they all look believable. And of course, some of the denizens here. We've got this dude with his camera, little photographer dude. And actually, you know what? That brings to mind probably one of the funnier things that I've noticed about the scenery. Okay, so you may have noticed this guy's fascinated with this giraffe here. We're going to call this giraffe Bob. Why are we calling him Bob? Take a look at him. Bob is currently bobbing up and down on the water. Why is Bob doing that? So, according to SimWorks Studios, the water here is really shallow, so, you know, they would actually be standing on top of the water like that, but, a little skeptical, shall we say. Alright, we're going to take a quick break, and when we pop back in, we're going to head over to one of those bungalows. Okay, so, just so you're aware, all of the bungalows in this little camp look identical, and that's a recurring theme. Each of the camps, of course, has their own distinct, I guess, flavor to them, but all the houses are going to look similar, and then, of course, you have the common area like we were just exploring over there. And look, there's another Bob, bobbing in the water. He's just chilling. He's enjoying the jazz. The music, by the way, that I've been using is all from FSX. I try to use music from the flight sim or the game that I'm playing. So that's why you'll notice these particular tunes will come back often, because they were actually used in FSX. So I figure it's cool to use them for MSFS. Alright, let's see what we got in ye old bungalow here. Nice little basin. Marble top. Fancy. Little gap between the wall and the ceiling there. Plenty of room to store all your safari clothes. And there appears to be a hole in the roof. Why is there a hole in the roof? That's gotta be fun during monsoon season. I don't even know if Africa gets monsoons. I'm assuming maybe thunderstorms. I don't know. But look at that bed. That looks inviting. What is that, a full size or a queen size? Oh yeah. I feel like taking a nap right now. So cool, so cool. It's going the extra mile like this that makes a scenery worth it, and all the camps around here are like this. In fact, if there's only one thing I can nitpick about, this is just driving my OCD nuts. You see this rug, right? You see how beautiful it looks. Looks realistic and everything. What is with that lump right there? Why is the carpet lumped up? Could somebody not, like, smooth it out? What is up with that? I know. I picked some of the weirdest things to get upset over. I'm not really upset, though. But yeah, my OCD. We're just going to pretend we're not even seeing that. We're going to pop out this door here. Check out the deck. This place actually comes alive at night, too, with all these camping lanterns and whatnot. I've actually just sat in these little chairs and just kind of chilled, watch the sunset and so on. It's beautiful. And yeah, I'll say it again, I know this is a flight sim and you really should be flying, But come on, folks. Look at all of this. You can't tell me it's not worth leaving your aircraft wherever it is and just exploring it like this. And from my understanding, we're supposed to be getting a freeware car to go with this scenery too. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed my brief tour of the Chief's camp. We're going to head back to the helicopter and work our way slowly but surely back to the airport where we took off from. Because after all, in addition to the scenery, I kind of also want to show you the helicopter. Really, folks, I can't say too many things bad about this helicopter because I just love it. It flies like I would expect a real helicopter to fly, especially an older bird such as this. And dudes, what are you doing? You are never going to fix that Jeep that way. Alright, you know what? Carry on. Okay, so let's see if we can, I guess, teleport our way back up there. We'll call it the elevator. We're going to use the magic elevator here. 4th floor, shoe stores, fast food restaurants, going up. I love this. I love the way they made the wood look. I love the little sign. I love everything about this stuff. There's several of these helipads around the area, so when you do actually get this scenery, be sure to try and find them all. Just remember, if you're using this helicopter to try and land on them, remember what I told you about the ground effect. That is a thing. Alright folks, let's hop back in the bird and begin our journey back to the airport. So yeah, really hope you don't mind our quick segue into Chief's camp there. I really felt that I wanted to show that to you because honestly, that's the whole point of scenery like this. So in addition to flying above, low and slow, as you would expect to do with a scenery like this, especially in a helicopter such as this, you also get to see it from the ground level. Alright, I'm definitely going to need more collective because I'm also higher up. There we go, there we go. And we'll push forward. Now we are, of course, going to lose altitude since we're no longer on that platform where ground effect can take effect. So we will actually need to push the manifold pressure up above 25 just for a moment. Like I said, we definitely don't want to overdo it because that could be bad. So we're just trying to get enough forward speed here. And I'm going to need to do some pedal work here. You know what? Let's take it to the right and we'll go around the lake. This is another area where I have seen giraffes before. I'm not sure if they're there right now, but we're not actually going to look for them. We're going to head back over this way. And we'll fly by Chief's camp on our way out. And that'll give us another opportunity to go back to the outside view and get some of those quote-unquote cinematic shots for you. But yeah, really awesome stuff. One thing that I'm sure you've probably noticed in these external camera shots is the fact that our little Asobo pilots here, their legs are sticking out. They're not actually on the pedals. That is not a FlyInside problem. That's actually an Asobo problem. So, Asobo, if you're watching, I think it's about high time that we get a little bit of upgrades to our little human avatars here. Of course, you can do it whenever you would like to do it, but I think that would be pretty cool to flesh out some more, I guess, human types. So, I don't know, like blondes, redheads, and so on and so forth. You know, give us a little bit more variety. And while you're at it, let's throw in some bendable limbs. So that way, creators of helicopters and aircraft can actually pose their avatars the way that they would like to have them inside the bird that they are trying to create. I'm just throwing it out there. It's up to you if you want to do it. I'm just saying it would make FlyInside's job a heck of a lot easier instead of having to reinvent the wheel and come up with their own pilots. Okay, folks, as we make our way to our final approach here, I am going to swing us around. And I got to confess, I'm actually doing this wrong here because I technically have the winds coming out of the south, so pretty much the opposite direction to where we are heading right now. So I'm probably going to be weather vaning this helicopter. That is a thing. And I'm going to need to do some pedal work here just to kind of keep her going straight. As of the time of this recording, I'm still waiting for Virpil to deliver my rudder pedals. I think the last time I checked they were in Paris. Why, I have no idea. Maybe they stopped to get croissants or wine or something like that. But we should be able to just coast down the runway here, back to the parking area, and then we'll do a pedal turn and bring her in. I will say one thing though, as far as performance, the way that FlyInside did this flight model, it performs very well, and it works perfectly with this sim. It interacts with everything that you would expect it to. The other kind of performance I want to touch on is FPS. Now, as I'm sure if you've been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator for any length of time now, you know that some aircraft do tend to hit FPS more than others. This is not one of them. Because of the fact that this is pretty much an old school analog design, you will be happy to know that this does not negatively affect your frames per second while you're flying. That is huge. That is a really good thing. So thank you to FlyInside for that. And I think I'm going to aim for the guy on the right there. So yeah, we'll keep bringing her down. We'll get into ground effect. And I'm actually going to increase the collective so our manifold pressure will go a little bit over 25 for a moment. Just to make sure we don't like fall to the floor. We'll cut to the outside view, the belly camera really quick, just to make sure that we are exactly where I would like us to be, and then we will bring her home. Alright, let's do that right now. There we go, perfect. And there's this again. You know what? I'm done. I'm done with that. Oh boy. Alrighty folks, so yeah, that will just about do it for me. If you are interested, I highly recommend that you check out this helicopter. This is a huge step forward for us. And just to remind you, this is the FlyInside Bell 47G. It is payware. It is linked in the video description below, so be sure to check it out. And also to remind you, as I power everything down here, the scenery that we have been using has been Okavango Delta by SimWorks Studios. That is also payware, and I highly recommend you pick that up. You can fly around and check out all the various camps and airports and helipads that they have available. So yes, huge, massive thanks to FlyInside for the opportunity to beta test this bird, and you done did good. This is an excellent addition to Microsoft Flight Simulator while we wait for Asobo to finish their helicopters. As always, thank you for watching. This has been BelGeode. I have been flying in Microsoft Flight Simulator. If you enjoyed what you've seen, please feel free to give me a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. And I will catch you on the next one. Ciao!